Hey everyone, this is Gnovat, and today I wanted to bring you a little different deck profile, and that is K9 Chimera. So I've had the Izuna playset since the release, but I've only played Dracotail since, and I don't like the K9 Dracotail variant. And as a hand trap, I just usually didn't find the hand trap, the extra deck space. So I wanted to use the Izuna, and also wanted to play with Chimera again because that is my favorite deck of all time still. So I just sat down and cooked some lines. I trimmed a lot of the fat of the old lists, and I'm decently happy with what I produced here. I think some ratios you can still maybe fix, but so far I've liked them. Mostly if you want to include more non-engine, that is. So let's just hop right in. This is 3 engines. We have K9, we have Chimera, and we have Finsmith, of course. And we start off with 3 Izuna. This is usually like standard. Not the best card against Yummy going second. Going first, it's still against the hand trap variant. It just is an extender oftentimes. And yeah, going second, you can just side it out. Otherwise, into other decks, especially into Dracotail, really strong, you can just make this on their turn and go into Ripper or Velen, which is a little spoiler for the extra deck, but those are the 2 targets. The extra deck is super tight, so we only had those 2. But 3 Izuna, and then we have 3 Jokol. As always, if you have a list that focuses on a level 5 monster, which you'll see in a second which one that is, you want to have 3 Jokol, and that's why you play that. And then we have the 1 Lantern and the 1 Lupus. So I don't want to have the second Lantern. Some K9 lists place 2 Lanterns because of follow-up that it provides, but in this list we have Finsmith stuff which can take care of our grind games, so I thought we just keep the deck list as consistent as possible and just play 1 Lantern, and then we have the beautiful Starlight Lupus here, and yeah, it's obviously the one-off here. So that is that. And for consistency cards, we have 3 Case of K9. Lets you get into Izuna if you have already a playable hand, just to protect you from hand traps, or it gets you the Jokol if you want to start your plays. And for the Jokol, you also have 2 Chaotic Elements. I like 5 as a sum of these 2. But if you want to cut some cards for more hand traps, this is probably one of the first places you could be looking to, is to adjust these ratios. And then you already see we main deck the Forced Release. Now, this is not that common anymore, that every deck is playing this in the main. Some are just siding it because it doesn't do anything on its own. But in this list, I was looking into plays into Fualos, and I felt the Forced Release was the best way to do that. You get Fualos, you make Izuna, use Izuna, you make Ripper, and Ripper gets you another Izuna and this, and that's already a couple points of interaction. And generally, Finsmith decks are not that strong into Fualos. So that is it for the K9 package. And now for the Chimera, we have our star of the show. This is our level 5 Baphomet. Now, some of you already probably thought to themselves that Baphomet locks you into fusion. So if you summon Baphomet via Jokol, then you're fusion locked. That is correct, and that's why when we get this out with Jokol, we don't use the effect, we just bring it back later. I'll show you the combo later. So 1 Baphomet, that's all you need, and then we have 3 Quaddle. This can get you the Baphomet, but it also can get you the Gazelle, which is your normal summon of choice in this deck. So you have some flexibility here. Usually if I have Jokol and Quaddle, I grab the Baphomet because it's better into Imperm. And then you just play from there. And then we have the 1 Sword Knight just to complete the package. You just access this via the Quaddle and whatever. And sometimes if you only have the Quaddle and, for example, Quaddle Izuna, you just go Quaddle, grab the Mirror Sword Knight, try to do that. If they ash the Mirror Sword Knight, they can't really Imperm that. Then you have your opening to Izuna. Then we have 1 Chimera Fusion. This is a novelty for me. I usually always have played 3, but in this deck it is very tight, and we have the smallest possible Chimera engine because we want to go through the Finsmith line first and foremost. So the Chimera Fusion is actually not live that often for you to dodge things, and you don't really want to fuse away the Jokol from your board. So it's 1. You just recur this in the combo and in your follow turns. So that is the Chimera engine. It is as small as it can get. Some argue you can cut the Mirror Sword Knight completely, but I think one of them is good to have just for the interaction point it provides. And then for the Finsmith part, we have 2 Engraver. This deck, I had 3, but I wanted to play the Lurian Tract instead of the Finsmith Sanct, so I cut one of the Finsmith Engraver for that. Because some hands you just want to, you have Jokol and 5 and you have Engraver, but you don't want to get rolled, so you want to Jokol, summon, make the Ripper first, and then you are protected from draw, and then do the Finsmith line, and then you also grab the Lantern, revive the Jokol, and then use the Jokol effect to search. So this is your Finsmith engine. No Paradise here, we don't want the brick in our deck, and this will provide you with the grind game that you need. And now for the non-engine, we have 15 non-engine slots. We have, well, this is 12 non-engine. We count the Izuna, so that Izuna makes it 15. So we have 3 Nibiru, we have 3 Ash, we have 3 Fuwa, we have 3 Imperm. Now, if you find places to cut here, for example, you can cut the Finsmith engine down by just 1 Engraver and the Sanct, although I wouldn't recommend that, or you can cut down the Chaotic Elements or anything else, then you can maybe fit even more and go to 15 non-engine here, plus the 3 Izuna, making it 18. You can also go with a Bot Breaker approach. I haven't tried that yet because Paradise Smasher is still legal, so until the next ban list, I'll probably just run with this hand trap lineup. So that makes it a clean 40, and then to the extra deck, we have, of course, the Chimera, we have the Baphomet, and we have the Guardian Chimera. So this is the fusion lineup for the Chimera package. The Chimera package in this deck is basically just an outlet for your engine. So it's a one and done type of deal. You go through the Chimera engine, you mill them a card, you have a Baphomet and the Guardian Chimera as options, and after that, you shouldn't have any Chimera cards left in your deck, and you just grind out the game with Finsmith if necessary. So for the canines, we have the Werewolf. As I said, that's the Fuwa line, and it also just generally adds more ceiling to your board. We have the 1 Ripper, and we have the 1 Valen as our options. And now for the biggest part of the deck is the Finsmith part. So we have the Moon, 2 bridges into Finsmith from anywhere. We have the Requiem, of course. We have the Sequence. We have Aerial Eater, so that the Finsmith engine can access our Baphomet. We have the Desiree, so that we have a thread that we can recycle every turn with the Finsmith engine, so that it actually becomes grind game. We have 1 Necrocrypt Princess. I tried to cut this, but first of all, it draws you a card with Quaddle and Engraver, which is neat, not like the reason to include it, but sometimes in hand trap lines you just want to make a Caesar, and most importantly, I'll just take this out here, this enables an easy Light and Dark Chaos Angel, which is really, really strong against Dracotail. If you put this in defense, they have a hard time outing it because they can't run over it, they cannot negate it with Mululu, they cannot pop it. So I wanted to have a deck list that has Chaos Angel, and also against Yummy, their only out, I think, is Yummy Surprise. And for that, you can have Coatl to negate that. So this is also one of the few extra deck pieces that are very good into going second, just into a board. We don't have space for SP here, so I wanted to have this in the deck. Then we have Abao and Caesar. Now, Abao is one of the main pieces of the combo, where this is the reason you get your Baphomet back after you get it to the grave. I had Quinquery in the deck before, which is the rank 5 that revives a level 5, which would mean that you can make that with your Canine engine and just revive the Baphomet. But I felt every spot where you could go into Quinquery, you could also just go Abao and do that instead. So if I could find anything to cut for that, then I would put in the Quinquery. But for now, this is the extra deck. So that is it for the profile, and let's show you how these combos work. Alright, so let's get into the first combo, which is just Jokol and level 5. So this is just pure canine stuff. Obviously, usually you have more, like you have Finsmith engine or you have Chimera with it, but I just wanted to show you how you just go from the canine part into all of what you need. So Here there's just two Jokals. Obviously it works with Jokal and Izuna or Jokal and Lupus, but let's just summon these two and use one of them to grab our Lantern. Then we can overlay for Ripper, and Ripper grabs you your Izuna. Just if they hand trap you, you have an Izuna in hand. And then you go Lantern, revive the Jokal, and then Lantern grabs you your Forced Release. You can also decide to grab Case of Canine. In this case, we already have the Izuna in hand, but in this combo, you'll need to normal summon something. In this case, we have a Fualos, but let's say these three hand traps are all super important. Then you can just grab a Case for Canine. Instead, normal summon the Izuna and grab a second one with the Case. But let's just put this away for now, and we just go with a Forced Release here. Next, you'll go and link these off into Moon, and then Moon into Requiem, and then Requiem into Lacrima. You can tell I've done this a million of times. You can go Lacrima, send the Engraver, and then the Engraver comes back by shuffling the Moon. And then you link these two for a Sequence. Sequence is gonna grab you two Fiends from your grave. You can decide. I would keep one of either Engraver or Lacrima in the grave. Lacrima could summon back the Sequence in your opponent's turn if you need more bodies for your Guardian Chimera, or you leave the Engraver in grave and you have that to summon back in your next turn. So that's up to you. Let's just keep the Engraver here in grave. We shuffle the rest back, and we are getting our Aerial Eater. The Aerial Eater will then dump a Baphomet, and this is where you have a link to one, and you need to normal summon something. So let's just get rid of one of these Fualos in hand, and we're going to go into a link 4 here. That is the Abao, and Abao can discard any card in our hand to banish itself and bring back the Baphomet that we just dumped. So the Baphomet on summon now can get you the Gazelle and your Chimera Fusion, which can then activate to Gazelle and Baphomet into the Chimera Fusion. I would put this probably in the extra monster zone here because your board will be full. So put this here and you'll have the Gazelle trigger. Unfortunately, we don't have an Illusion Engrave here, so the Baphomet won't trigger, but this is just a bare bones combo, so that is fine. The Gazelle will grab you a Coatl. Now we can get back our Chimera Fusion, and we can discard the Coatl to get the targeting protection engraved and add ourselves a Mirror Assault Knight. This you'll probably discard with the Abao on the opponent's turn, or just fuse it off with the Chimera Fusion so that you have another negate. And then you go ahead, set the Chimera Fusion, set the Forced Release, and in the end phase, you'll get back the Abao. Now, what you have here is you have the Chimera on board, you rip a card off the opponent's hand, you have the targeting negate, you have your Lacrima, which you have your Engraver or your Lacrima in the grave for a body or follow-up. You have Ripper negate, you have Izuna in hand, and you have Forced Release to rank up your Ripper into Werewolf, pop a card. Werewolf hand rip, you have Chimera Fusion to fuse something into a Guardian Chimera. You have Vow, Pop, or Revive, and on the follow-up, you will have the Revive from the Chimera. You can get the, or you can get the Chimera Fusion back because this needs the Chimera in the graveyard for that. So if you banish it, you can't. You have the Engraver here. You can Izuna into Valen, of course. And what's very cool is because Abao banishes itself, so you can get it back in the end phase. And if you check your grave, there is an Illusion, a Beast, a Fiend. Let's just not count the Fua. We have a Pyro, we have an Aqua. So that is already 5 typings. And with the Ripper or Izuna and the Lupus, you'll have 2 more. So you can draw 5 to 7 cards in your standby phase and shuffle back the same amount. So you can basically sculpt your hand. But this is just the double Jokal combo. Let's show you a more interesting combo with Gazelle. All right, now for the more interesting line, this is Gazelle and Jokal or Coatl and Jokal. If you have Coatl and Jokal, you can consider grabbing the Baphomet instead of the Gazelle. And this was my hand, then I would probably go Coatl for Baphomet, because we don't have any way to extend, so if our Gazelle gets impermed, we just lose. Whereas if we summon the Baphomet, we can combo through hand traps, and we just have to normal summon a hand trap to get us there. But in this case, let's just go with the Gazelle line. Normal summon Gazelle, grab Baphomet, use summon these two off of Jokal, not use the Baphomet effect. Instead, we just Jokal, go and grab Lantern. And from here on out, this is probably the best position for your opponent to full loss you. If they do, you go Ripper, Ripper, grab you Izuna, set the force release, and maybe use your Lantern also to get another rank 5. If they don't, we can go and link these two off for Moon. And again, if they full you here, you can actually go and Lantern for a body, make a bow, bring back Baphomet, and then just play from there. You can even go Lantern and grab Case for K9 for Izuna and also make Ripper plus the quick play. So if they full you here, you can make a very good board just giving your opponent 2 draws. But we just go uninterrupted here. We go into Requiem. Requiem, summon Lacrima, Lacrima, send the Engraver. And now we're going to link these two into sequence and use sequence effect, this time not for Aerial Leader because we have the Gazelle in the grave. So we're going to shuffle these two back. And we are getting the Baphomet Fusion, which will then send you a Mirror Sword Knight in the grave. Then we can use the Engraver, shuffling back the Requiem, and summoning back the Engraver. This is where they have to nib you. So if they don't, we make a Caesar. If they do nib you, what you can do is you have the token, you can Lantern, summon back, Lantern grabs Case for K9, grabs you Izuna, and then you just have to link into Moon again, and then Moon plus 2 bodies makes a bow, and a bow can then revive the Baphomet. So no reason to be afraid of that nib. And yeah, so you can go and make the Caesar here if they don't nib you, and we go Lantern after that because we're safe now. Grab the Jokal from the grave, use the Lantern effect, grab Case for K9. We won't end on Ripper, so we don't get the field spell. Instead, we just get the Case for K9 for a Izuna from our deck for the opponent's turn. And now we just make a huge link 4 here, and that is the Abao. Abao using a card from our hand to banish itself and summon a Big Wing Baphomet. Now we can use the effect and grab Chimera Fusion plus Gazelle, which we'll then instantly use to go into Chimera. And now we trigger Gazelle, Baphomet, and this for the hand trip. We actually have a Baphomet target now, so we grab back the Mirror Sword Knight, and the Gazelle gets you a Coatl, and then we also get the Chimera Fusion back after that. And now you have a decision to make. Because Guardian Chimera needs 3 different names, you basically have the same target for Mirror Sword Knight and Coatl in the deck, being your Gazelles, but you can't fuse Gazelle with Gazelle for Guardian Chimera. So if these hand traps are important, then what you want to do is you want to decide, do you want targeting protection or do you want the monster effect negation on the field? In this case, I like the monster effect negate, so I would use the Mirror Sword Knight here, getting Gazelle. We already used the effect. We don't have any targets in deck anyway. And then we can set the Chimera Fusion, and then the end phase, get back our Abao. So now we have the Caesar, we have Abao, we have the hand trip, we have a Chimera Fusion, we have a negating grave, we will have a targeting protection engrave, and we have Lacrima for follow-up, we have the Engraver for follow-up, and we have both of these names for follow-up as well as the Izuna in our hand, while also playing decently well into Fualos and into Nibiru. So that is the combo with Jokal and any Chimera piece. There's more like 3-card combos with Finsmith engines, but I just wanted to give you a little overview of the main interactions of the deck, and I'll leave the rest to you. And if you have any questions, then you can go into the description. There's a link to my Discord. You can just go there, ask me anything. But with that, that's the video, and I'll see you next time.